Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting, and hope you all are having a wonderful summer. Okay, I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Woodford. All those in favour? Contrary-minded, motion is carried. Minutes of the meeting from June 25th. Are there any errors or omissions? If not, we'll move on to business arising. Any business arising? Nothing? Okay. There's a says a thank you message there on the correspondence. I don't have that. Oh, here we go. Okay, beautiful card, and it says, Dear Councillors, I am the fortunate recipient of the Town of Holyrood Scholarship. I want to thank you for bestowing upon me the honor of having received this scholarship. Thank you for providing this scholarship to recipients of the past and of the future. I greatly appreciate your continued support of students and their education and helping us to become better equipped as citizens of the future. Gratefully yours, Caitlin Hunt. So, congratulations, Caitlin, on receiving that scholarship, and thank you so much for sending that message. All right, we will now move on to planning and development. We have the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on July the 10th with myself, Marjorie Gibbons, Robert Stacey in attendance, and regrets from Krista Turnbull, our Mayor Gary Gooby, and Councillor Steve Windsor. There were 5 applications that were reviewed in total. 4 we're moving towards for recommendation tonight. There was 1 piece of correspondence that we received regarding water connection that required further investigation. So we're looking into that for the next meeting. And we also discussed the finalization of our quarry agreement. Other than that, I'm going to get right into the motions this evening. The first motion is for, one second. It's going to be our permits. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 19 permits were issued from June 19th to July 17th, 2024. Permit number 06-0063-24 to 07-0087-24, and includes permits for general repairs, residential and commercial, patio, water for pool, accessory building, residential sign, occupancy, basement, apartment. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Sadie King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour, those against, motion is carried.
The next is for 55 Duffs Road. It's a residential build in RMD zone, and it was specifically for a variance. Be it resolved to approve the above application and request in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor. Do I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion?
So I just want to get into this a little bit because it did have to go out for variance. The variance requested was within our maximum or didn't reach the maximum, 10%. It was advertised. We did receive 1 response back from a resident. However, it did not have anything to do with the variance. It had to do with the build itself on a, not necessarily Duff's Road, on a cart road. So this is a subdivision of a lot. So it's not, it's like a back lot development, but it's a front lot development. We had looked at that property, we all visited that last year and approved the first building. And it does face onto a cart road, and that's what she was concerned about. The resident in the area was wondering if we were going to continue on allowing for applications to be made on that road without, you know, we don't service that road. The individuals on that road service that road, and that is in the application. The individual knows that. That was from the first bill that was there. It's in the condition in the letter that they have to take over and maintain that road. And we did reach out to the town planner as well, and his suggestion would be that we wouldn't permit any further development unless the town was ready to take over that road and develop that road up to up to road standards.
Okay.
Okay, but that was the only thing that we received back on that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, all those in favor? Against? Motion is carried.
The next is for 223 Salmon Air Line. It's a residential build. It's RMD zone. Be it resolved to approve the above application and request in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion?
That's just a regular residential build.
Straightforward.
Straightforward.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried.
The next is for 64 to 66 Kennedy's Lane. It's a residential build. It's RMD zone. This is, it meets all of our regulations. I'm going to read the motion first and then we can discuss. Be it resolved to approve the above application and request in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion.
So basically, the question came up with this lot. The plot plan had the house facing Valley Road, but the civic address is on Kennedy's Lane. So we were kind of wondering how we were going to address, because you're supposed to be facing on the road. Your house is supposed to be facing on the civic address. So we're looking at either keeping the civic address as the Valley or Conception Bay Highway, I would think. But it's listed on the plot and in the survey as 6466 Kennedy's Lane. Other than that, everything is fine with the application.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Those against, motion is carried.
The next is for 421 Conception Bay Highway. This is a backlot development. It's a residential build and it's RMD zone. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion.
So with backlot developments, the only thing that came up with this was that the road that's going in is not one of our roads. It's a road that is the owner of the house in the front. It's a subdivision of land as well. And there is a shed that's on that property. And of course, if a house goes on that property, it would be in violation to have the shed there because it would be in front of the house. So we would put in the condition of the letter that would be removed before occupancy. And it was also identified in the application itself from the applicant that they were going to use that shed until the home is built and then it would be torn down.
Okay.
So that was the only issue that came up with that application.
Further questions, comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And finally, it is a roadside vending. It's a hot dog and fruit boba tea cart for the main beach. This is something similar to what we had before. that was over there on the boardwalk. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development and regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
I think the only thing that we requested from this individual was their food license that they would need from Service NL.
I've been struggling with this application, and I'm not going to support it tonight, simply because the volume of traffic at the boardwalk area, particularly on the weekends, it's incredible. There's not a lot of room there. I'm noticing that there's cars having difficulty even now trying to get in and out. There's a tremendous amount of traffic in that area on the weekends when the weather is nice. We have discussed this before, even about an alternative parking place, because of the vehicles coming down over the big hill, coming from both directions. There's a lot of children in the area, and given the fact that this area is, there's an abundance of people there, children and everything else. It's right on the main road, and to put a hot dog or a vending operation in on that, I think it's going to me, it's a safety concern.
But we didn't have any issues when the other proponent had their vending.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But
There was no, there was nothing that we looked at when we looked at the application in economic development or within planning that indicated that there was any issues when the last individual had a cart there. I know in the beginning where they were, the placement of the cart, they had it on one side, and then it was determined that we would move it because of certain things that came up. But once they moved it in off of the parking lot onto that platform, then there was no issues that did come up at the time. So that's why we moved.
no,
Yeah.
I know that, that operation was okay, especially during the week, because you don't get as many vehicles, parked at the boardwalk. But, I'm more or less referencing on the weekends, and what I'm witnessing now, there's more and more traffic coming into our community on the weekends. And the place is blocked. And, I'm fearful, especially with children, because,
I know we had talked about that. Oh, go ahead, Laura, sorry.
wait, no, I'm chairing the meeting here.
Yeah.
So, I just think that it's a safety concern with the children, because I've witnessed it where they're running in around cars and they're literally on the road. There's residents trying to get across the road, and I just don't want to see it's too late if something happens. If that was off the beaten path in a safe location, I would not have any hesitation. But like I said, the volume of traffic, the number of people in that area, I just don't want to wait until something happens, then it's too late. Okay, I'm sorry about that, but I have to chair the meeting, and now Councillor
Got to
Crowley, you have the
educate
floor.
your duty there when you're talking. I was just going to say, mostly, as I'm sure you're going to say in public safety, the onus is on the drivers and the people parking there, because it's absolutely ridiculous. They're parking on the road. So we definitely need more policing, more tickets given out, because I want to write them up myself and stick them on the cars. You can't park on the road. Your wheels cannot be on the road.
And they are on the road.
And they're on the road. So, I mean, I'm going to support this because I think it's a great venture, and I think it's great when they're trying to get a business on the go, and they're actually around the weekend, and they were really good. But yeah, it's the onus is on the people. It's absolutely ridiculous. They don't know how to park, and they can't park, and they're not parking properly. But it needs to be monitored, and obviously council is not the ones to monitor.
No, and
not
as
the
I
ones to give out
was
tickets,
as I
but-
was going to say, is it okay for me to respond?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, just one at a time.
As I was going to say, we had brought that issue up before, but where it is on Conception Bay Highway and it's Department of Transportation, we were looking at trying to get the speed limit reduced
Absolutely.
in that area. But I don't think that anything became of it because it was not really the town, it was the Department of Transportation.
Right, and I think we can probably revisit that again.
Yep,
It's something that we
absolutely.
can put back on the table.
Yep.
But, I don't know, parking signs, maybe same thing, Department of Transportation, asking them to put up the no parking signs, or specifically saying, get off the road, because they're parking where they should never park. And we know the Star took a stance, and that's fine, because that's their private property and they're allowed to do it. That's their own, and that's perfectly fine as well. But we need to make sure the Department of Transportation is taking care of this, because this is not a Town of Holyrood really issue. It's a Department of Transportation and Highway issue. So anyway, just wanted to say,
Yep.
support.
And,
Thank you.
you know, I know the Star has taken that position that they don't want, vehicles on the parking lot or whatever, especially if they have events on. But I saw it the other day where there was vehicles parked on Conception Bay Highway, almost up to Northside Road. I did see and I did witness several children running down Conception Bay Highway. Now, my position is, regardless of who's responsible for whether it's parents responsible for parking or not, we're the ones that's making this decision. And like I said, and I'll leave it at that, I won't belabor, I don't want to wait until something happens. It could be a senior, it could be anybody frequenting the boardwalk, or it could be children.
Maybe we need to put up some signs or something like that to slow down in the area. I don't know if we can do that where it is. We can't, can we? No.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
excuse me.
recognize Councillor King.
Can I ask if that's a food truck or what? What? Oh, which one? Okay.
Okay,
Go first, I'll come after.
Councillor Bruce King first, and
Okay.
then Councillor Sadie.
Cede my time to the fine lady across the hall.
No, I just wanted to know, is it a food truck or what is it, and how many parking spaces it will take up?
As far as I know, it's not taking up any parking spaces. It's going to be put in on that platform, and it's just like a hot dog stand. Yeah, it's not a food truck. No, we wouldn't be able to put a food truck there. No.
Okay, Councillor King, the other Councillor King.
No, I understand what the mayor is saying, and it is, I mean, we drove through down there a couple of days ago, and yeah, people don't know how to park, right? I mean, if you want to do anything constructive, put everybody on a driver's course. But you also looking on the weekends, and this is when we were down there the last time, you're looking at the food fishery. I mean, there was people down there from one end of the beach right over to the, so, how are you going? It's something, and I understand what you're saying with regards to safety, and there's kids running around, you have to have about 6 sets of eyes. But there's also the responsibility of the parents. But how are you gonna police it? Because when there was people getting out of their vehicle the other night, the only thing that they were concerned of is getting down to the beach and catching a fish. They could have very easily became, hoard ornaments because they weren't watching where they were going. And it's not only the kids, the parents are probably even worse than the kids are. So, it's something, it's a concern, but I can't see how we could even attempt to even try to enforce it. And I don't even think the RCMP would even try, because there's so many people down there, it's almost like an impossibility. So I do support it, but I do understand the mayor's concerns as well.
Thank you, Councillor King. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, it's madness down there, right? But you can't cancel the food fishery, is what I was thinking about. And that's mainly what's driving that. And the business owner shouldn't be penalised for that, right? And the business is not adding to the risk. He's servicing the people who are already there. He's not adding more risk now. So I think it's a separate discussion on the safety, how we can improve that. But the motion should be supported, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? All right, okay. Deputy Mayor, you move the motion. You can close debate.
Nope, that's it, sure. We just need to vote on it.
Okay. No, I just want to know if you had,
Nope, I
had any
had,
closing
no,
remarks.
I've given all my information out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Those against? One against. All right, the motion is carried.
And
All right.
that's the end of our report from planning and development.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy Mayor and Councillor Windsor. Now we'll move on to recreation and community events. So we have Councillor Tilley and Councillor King.
Well, as everybody know, the weekend and the past week has been very, very busy for the town of Holyrood, along with the food fishery and everybody on the boardwalk, which I witnessed many days. We also had our Squid Fest. I think I can honestly say this has been a huge success this year. All ticket events were sold out. Everybody seemed to be having a good time and enjoying it. I haven't heard of any major issues or concerns, which is absolutely phenomenal. I did want to say, though, that after Squid Fest now was over, once everybody gets a rest and gets settled a little bit, there will be a debriefment done, just to go over things that, came up, things that we could improve on, things that really worked. So that will be a great time for us to start the planning for next year. Because, of course, as we all know, Squid Fest may be over for 2024, but now it starts up for 2025 planning. I do want to say a great big thank you to sponsors, the volunteers, and a big shout out to the staff. The staff really worked hard on this. All the extra work that goes in this is phenomenal to put it all together. And also, this is our Director of Recreation and Community Service, Kyle's first year doing Squid Fest. So I think that I can speak for all the councillors and the mayor by saying he did a phenomenal job, and thank you for all his hard work. When it comes to our camps, Camp Ahoy, 4 weeks in, as you say, summer is creeping by us. The soccer program, 4 weeks in, all is going great. Also, I want to add that Mother Nature is being great with us for the weather. So the swim park, I've driven by the swim park several times, and again, the traffic up there is phenomenal. The amount of people that are out and enjoying Mother Nature, and let's just hope that she keeps participating with us, and we keep having some great weather so the kids can get out and the people can get out. And as you all know, the spot for me would be outside, which I believe everybody else should be. So with recreation, and I guess that was it for me. And let's hope we get lots of good feedback for our debriefment that we're going to do after about the Squid Fest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tilley. Anything to add, Councillor King? Okay. Okay, now we'll move on to infrastructure and public works, and we have Councillor Windsor and Councillor King.
Starting to get warm in here now. Question now, is that one supposed to be on? Does that help the sound room? So I get an echo here, and it's distracting. But if it has to stay on, it stays on. We're cognizant of our sound monitors. Is this still okay? Okay. Okay, good. Thank you, Mayor. Infrastructure and Public Works. I'll give an update of 6 or 7 items. I know everybody wants to get through the meeting, get out and enjoy some of the nice weather, so I'm trying to go on too long. And I've got a couple motions where I'm looking for big money. You like that? So there'll be a motion on the sewer system treatment facility upgrades. So we'll get into that in a moment. But that's the big news for tonight. And, really want a big shout out, kudos, that's the word I think I was looking for the staff. Working hard with the municipal affairs department, the engineering consultants, and assessing everything that is required. And just when we were chatting before the meeting, right, there was some feedback around that facility over the weekend, and our workers did the very best they could with their intervention techniques to try to minimize that disruption. But when this project is completed, that'll be no more, right? So it's taking time. I know it's hard sometimes, so we gotta be patient, and it's gonna be over $2 million project, and it'll be world class when it's done. And that's what we need to be in full compliance with federal guidelines. Okay, so a few other little things. The new water tank project is underway. You may have heard that rockbuster over there, which only operates between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, by the way, and every second Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So there were some people, including my young fellas, who were asking, like, when's the rockbuster going to stop, right? They're trying to sleep in. Well, get up and do some work, right? But project will be over August 11th. Completed. That's the civil works portion, and there's no traffic disruptions on Tank Road. So just a little update for everyone on that project. Another project update: Seminary Line water supply line extension has started. Now there are some minor traffic delays with that one. Things are progressing very well. That work is between the hours of 7 in the morning and 5 in the evening, Monday to Friday, and with a target completion of September 10th, assuming everything goes well and there's no found work or issues encountered. Next item of great interest, I think, to everybody in the town is the bulk garbage. So I know there's a big sound off about that before and reported in Shoreline, and a lot of attention, social media, and everyone's very interested. Now we do have dates. We do have dates now. They were having difficulty. I'll say they. That's the Eastern Regional Services Board. Be very clear on that point. It's not the Town of Holyrood. It's the Eastern Regional Services Board. They're having difficulty obtaining contractors to collect the garbage. They've completed that now. They've got a contractor, and the dates that have been provided are September 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and the 9th. And the registration for booking time for your collection starts today, and you go to the Eastern Regional Service Board website, and it's all the information you need to get your appointment completed. Town of Holyrood does not book anything like that for the residents. The resident has to go on this website and make their appointment. So again, that's September 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and the 9th, and that information will be posted on our social media channels for all to see. Okay? Also, some good news. The tender for the next phase of the Boardwalk project is going to be reviewed this week, and upon approval will be released for bidders next week. And I'd remind everybody, that phase of the Boardwalk is actually the festival grounds refurbishment. I won't get into all the items that is included in that part. It's very extensive, and people might remember seeing some 3D model imagery some years ago about what the vision would look like. It's not exactly like that, but it's very similar to, and a lot of the elements are incorporated into it. So that'll hit the streets next week. I'm really looking forward to that. Community Center feasibility study work is ongoing, and we'll get an update next week on the progress in a little bit more detail. And last but not least, there are 2 culverts being replaced on Country Path over the next week or 2. So now get into the fun stuff, which is the sewer treatment facility tender call. Amendment for funding, I should say. So originally the project was going to be 1.4 million. It's going to go to 2.2 million. So we're looking for an additional $800,000. Now that is not all our taxpayer money. Well, it is taxpayer money, but 10% of that, or $79,000, is the additional funding that we come from the town. We would propose to borrow that. That's not a budgetary item for this year. We would borrow that. We're in a strong fiscal position. We can borrow that, and likely wouldn't actually borrow it till next year, 2025, right? The overrun the project, like, what does it mean? It means we're going to get a more complete package rather than this piecemeal phased approach. And which I think would, as in your minutes there, like the preamble, would certainly create additional project delays and possibly overruns. It makes more sense to complete this package in one go, right? I'll read the motion and we can talk about it a little more if anyone has any questions. Be resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests an amendment to the Sewer Upgrades Project 17GI22000037. The engineering and design of this project has identified a more intense scope of work, which will see an upgraded wastewater treatment plant, disinfection system, lift station, oxidation ditch, and pump station. The original cost was $1,400,050, but given the required work to do the job in its entirety, Instead of creating delays through project phasing, the complete cost is $2,278,937.72. This adds an additional $799,583.72 to the project. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Windsor. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion.
No, well, I'll read the preamble. I think I touched on some of it when I was just blabbing on there, kind of off the cuff. But I'll read it verbatim for sure for everybody and for the record. The overrun the project means we do the entire work to meet the federal guidelines for sewer, and we do it without completing the work in phases, creating the potential for additional delays and problems with sewer treatment. There is an opportunity for the town to request these additional funds under the present ISIP funding. The cost for the town will be 10%, totaling $79,958.37. This is a small amount to bring sewer treatment to where it needs to be to ensure the town is following federal regulations and to ensure we're providing safe, reliable services to residents using the system. Town of Holyrood is in a good position to borrow these funds under the present fiscal condition.
Councillor
How do you all
Crowley.
feel about that?
I was just joking when I said no, that you weren't getting any extra money. But we just wanted to, I just want to make sure, make it clear that, as I said, this will need to be borrowed funds, but it won't be borrowed until next year, possibly the year after. But right now we're looking at 2025.
Correct.
So we're still within our 2024 budget. We're not extending ourselves. We're not going over. The other thing is that I know there were concerns previously that we were at the 16% mark for our borrowing, but we're gone down to 13% for this year with a financial projection of about 10 to 11 next year. So we're still in a very, very healthy place with our borrowing. And I just want to say, just in case that kind of blurb out there and people didn't catch that, that again, not this budget, next year's budget, and we're still a very healthy financial situation. Just wanna
Excellent point.
back you up.
And I certainly
Yeah.
will be supporting this motion, obviously. We're all aware, look, that system is pretty old. I think it goes back to the 70s. And over the past several years, we have been encountering many problems with that system. If it's not one thing, it's something else. And, you know, residents have been reaching out to us now for quite some time, especially in the summertime when weather conditions are warm and everything else, and there's a bit of a stench in that area. That's one issue. But the other concern that, you know, we're identifying in doing these major upgrades and pretty well overhauling the system and doing it all in one shot, which I completely agree with, rather than piecemeal. Our community is growing now, residentially and from a commercial perspective, which means we have to have a good, reliable system functioning properly that will be able to accommodate future residential and business growth long into the future. And, you know, we have the fiscal capacity to do it now with our 10% share, and I think this is a very prudent and responsibility for this council to move forward on this project that that needed to be done for quite some time. So that's
That's good. Thank you, Mayor. The other thing I'll add in there too, just to kind of slip it in, there's no point buying a new car if you're not going to do the maintenance on it and change the oil. So
yeah,
something we've talked about at committee is ensuring standard operating procedures are implemented for all activities, whether that be, you know, the run-of-the-mill things that we're doing, you know, once a week or once a month. But this is a big investment, and we want to protect our investment and ensure that the maintenance is done on that machinery, and, you know, whatever filters got to be changed and things got to be done at a periodic basis. We'll document that into a revision-controlled procedure so that everyone has that education and awareness to follow it.
and we won't be scrambling around looking for parts, because that was a major problem for so long. Parts were no longer available, and we actually had to try to get parts made.
Yeah, there
So,
were obsolete parts no longer available.
obsolete
That's right.
parts. So now we're making the
So
move.
we're moving in the right direction here
Yeah.
now.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, and my hand
Aye.
will go up high on this one.
So I got more money, but now I need more time.
Oh,
So the next motion is about the project schedule, all right? Be resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests a time extension for the sewer upgrade project, same project number, 17GI-22-00037, to allow time for completion of design and scope changes as experienced in preparation to start up of the project. We're requesting the project end date be changed from August 25 to August 2026 to ensure completion in its entirety. So moved.
moved by Councillor Windsor, seconded by Deputy Mayor Woodford. Further discussion? To get it all done at one time, and if we gotta wait another year, I think that's the way to go,
Yeah.
personally. Okay, if
Okay.
there's no further questions or comments, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against, motion is carried.
Okay, last one. I'm sweating now. I sit down soon. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood submit a gas tax application to complete improvements to the water and sewer infrastructure at Kylie's Lane. The town requested bids to replace the existing infrastructure with new water and sewer lines to comply with current government standards and reduce the continuous water leaks in the area. Total cost of the project is $63,850, HST included, as submitted by lowest bidder, Buckles Contracting. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Windsor. Could I have a seconder, please? Seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? And I think based on the bids that came in, obviously, this one is a good bid.
Oh, there were bids that were extremely exorbitantly high, just as a club number. I'm sure those contractors were not actually
Yeah.
doing the work, and if they were going to do the work, they wanted to make it extremely worth their while. But many, many, many multiples more.
To say the least.
This lowest bid.
Yeah. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contramon, motion is carried. And that's it for Public Works?
Oh, yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. All right, now we'll move on to Economic Development. Deputy Mayor Woodford, you're up.
Well, the Economic Development Committee, we haven't met since our last public meeting, but we do have an update, or a couple of updates that we wanted to bring forward. First and foremost was we have hired a communication liaison individual, which is great, Nola Edison. Nola has worked with the town here before, and hopefully we're able to get her started. I think she started already. No, not yet? September, okay. For us to be able to get our communication database completed. So, welcome Nola, and we look forward to working with her as we need that information sooner than later. We also signed, or the mayor did, the memorandum of understanding with Marine Institute and the launch. That was done on Friday, July the 19th, and signed by Dr. Paul Brett and the mayor. It was a nice little turnout. They had their open house that day as well, and I think they had probably about 300 people.
300,
They had two groups of over 100 in each group that registered. So it was a lot of activity when we were there, and Camp Ahoy kids and that were there when we were there. So it was they had a great turnout for that event. We're really glad to have this memorandum of understanding in place. It's a 5-year memorandum that basically keeps us in touch with each other, allows us to be able to, build the ocean sector, just brings so much advancement here to Holyrood economically, and we're really looking forward to be able to work with them and keep collaborating with them on a regular basis. So this memorandum kind of outlines all of that in there. And leading into that, the Laurenti Conference is an ocean sector conference that's held 1 year in Ireland and the next year here in Canada. And this year it's here. So that's going to take place on September the 23rd to the 28th. On the 25th, specifically, the participants are going to be in here to the Marine Institute at the launch. And in the afternoon, the Town of Holyrood and OHI have an opportunity to do something with these participants. So we're hoping for a day on the bay to be able to show them what our ocean or our bay looks like here. So that's the plan, but it's not set yet, but that's what we're looking at doing. Other than that, I think Councillor Windsor already talked about the community centre and how we're moving forward with that. And I think you're probably going to bring up Run the Rock information. So I'll leave that up to Councillor King. But that's it for economic development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to public safety. Councillor King and Councillor Tilley, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start off and let Councillor Tilley close the loop. We had our public safety meeting on the 16th of July. Those in attendance were the CEO, Marjorie Gibbons. Councillor Tilley was there via phone. Fire Chief Kenny and the mayor sent his regrets. One of the first topics that came up, and we invited Rick Noseworthy and as president of Newfoundland Trailways in to discuss ATV safety, and along with that as well, dirt bike safety. Dirt bikes and ATVs are becoming a bit of a problem across the province, and especially in small towns. But it's a bit of a problem here as well. But it's in I guess you would call it isolated areas of the town, right? But we're going to focus on the whole thing as a group, because when you're on an ATV or you're on a dirt bike, you don't stay in one spot. You move around. So we're going to target everybody. There's a plan to do an educational piece in the fall when kids start going back to school, because one of the main groups that we want to target is young people, right? Especially in the ages of 16 and younger, because if you start at a very young age and try to educate people, there's a very good chance that you might be able to get to the point where they actually, wear their helmet, follow the rules, don't speed, don't give, somebody tells you to slow down, you don't use fingers to respond, and that. So we're going to try that and see how it works, and that, right? Because people have to understand, for one thing, as of October 15th of this year, it is going to be mandatory for people under the age of 16 to have this course. And you can go in online and do the course now. It's about, I think it's multiple choice questions, and they give you a little package. You go in, you read it, and you do the course. And you need this course. And parents need to understand that you can't use an ATV and a dirt bike as a babysitter, okay? Because if you send little Johnny or little Susie out on a dirt bike or an ATV and something happens, you could be held liable for whatever happens. If they run into a senior, if they run into somebody else's vehicle, it could be on your shoulders, okay? So we also need to educate the parents as much as we educate the kids, because, if you're in the front seat of a car, for example, and when you finish your coffee or your pop, and you put down the window and you throw it out the window, and little Johnny is in the back seat, what do you think little Johnny is going to do when he gets a little bit older and he gets to drive and have his coffee and stuff like that, or his pop? Where do you think he's going to throw all that stuff? He's going to follow daddy or mommy, and he's going to throw it out the window. So that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to educate people to the fact that you shouldn't be doing these things, right? So far, there's been 380 people have completed the course, and from everybody finds it very, very interesting. Emergency preparedness, we discussed that. The fire chief is still working on that one, and once it's done, we will let people know. There's issues with the fire department, and what I'll do is I'll circle back to that one at the end. The rescue vehicle, The rescue vehicle is still on schedule to show up in Holyrood on the 30th of September, barring any unforeseen circumstances. The vehicle is in getting painted. The vast majority of equipment that will go into that vehicle is already over in the fire hall. So there is going to be some stuff that we're going to have to purchase, and we will see later on down the road what those items are and how much they're going to cost. The fire department is also in the process of starting up an auxiliary group, and that's where fundraising comes in. Right? The fire department is not allowed to fundraise, but their auxiliary group, same as all the other communities around the island, that's where the bulk of their funding comes from, and we're going to participate in that as well. Okay? The question came up again with regards to drinking up around Woodford Station Road. It comes up every year when people graduate. You know, you try to explain to people, this is a RCMP type thing to handle. We have no jurisdiction over talking to people. And the same thing applies to kids now, as we talked about with ATV and safety. Parents need to also talk to their kids about stuff like that, because if you're feeding kids alcohol and they're underage or whatever, you're buying it for them, you could be held liable if something happens. Okay? The last one I'm going to talk about before I turn it over is the fire department. There was issues talking with regards to the fire department and how things are done. And the fire department here in Holyrood is a very efficient organization. Okay? It's very well ran. And when they go out on calls, I know a lot of people, you know, we have people talking about, well, you know, they shouldn't be responding to the Trans-Canada Highway. Well, right, you know, there's words I want to use, but I can't because it's a family-related show, right? But you can't say stuff like that, because if that was somebody belonged to you, right, and you were up by Butterpot Park, and you hit a moose, and you're on the side of the road bleeding to death, well, you're going to say, well, no, we're not going to send the fire department up to help. That's unrealistic. The other thing that's unrealistic is expecting the government to pay for all the fire departments on the island. Because if the government pays for the fire department, where is the money, where's the government getting the money from? It's still taxpayers' money, right? So, you know, you're talking about, what, close to 480 municipalities on the island. So if everybody wanted, you know, the government to pay for their fire department, they wouldn't have much money left. Like, so that's not going to happen. Anyway, I just want to give some stats there first, and then I'll move on. For example, for calls in 2023, we had 217 calls. Out of those 217 calls, 109 of them were medical calls. Okay, and that's where this new rescue vehicle is really going to come into play, because it'll cut down on the response time. It'll cut down on the wear and tear on the bigger vehicles. They take them a lot longer to get to a scene. So it's going to extend the shelf life of the other two vehicles as well. So people need to take that in mind. The other thing with regards to, there was 45 highway calls, and each time the fire department responds to the Trans-Canada Highway, they get $350, okay? And if they stay over a certain period of time, and I'll get to that after, they get an extra $50 more. So in 2023, we had 45 highway calls, and the town received $15,750 from the government for those calls. So these calls are not free, as some people insinuate that they are. So when the fire department goes, we get paid for it, especially if they're highway calls. Okay? In 2024, so far there were 72 medical calls, 29 highway calls before April 1st. Okay, at 8 times $350, which was $2,800. After April 1st, 2024, there was 21, and that went up to 1,050 for $22,850, for a total so far this year of $24,850 that the town received for calls to the highway. Okay, and I'll just read this one out here completely. The rate claim has been increased from $350 for the first 3 hours and $50 for each additional hour to $1,050 for the first 3 hours and $150 for each additional hour, effective April 1st of this year. This will increase the support to the fire department, and some extra monies will be adjusted beginning as of April 1st, 2024. The rescue vehicle, we're going to get to that one after. The total cost of the rescue vehicle is $317,517.30. And we also got to take in mind that $100,000 of that came from the government. So we have a very efficient fire department. It's not all out. Money is coming back. So I hope that clarifies some of the questions with regards to some of the questions. At this time, I will turn it over to Councillor Tilley to add her 2 cents worth.
2 cents, only 2?
Inflation.
If it's inflation, I should get 3 cents.
That's right, it's
4 cents, that's right. I guess I want to close off this with public safety, just to also agree with the public safety on the boardwalk. I spend a fair bit of time up there, and it is a lot of people up there. They're having a lot of fun, and again, I do agree that it is up to the onus of the people who are up there to park correctly and be responsible. But it is a great spot for our community, for people to gather, and for people to be there from everywhere, far and wide. They're coming. Another thing I also wanted to touch on that's been really busy in my life in the last 6 weeks is the fire bans and the forest fires that are ongoing. Currently, right now in our province, we still have 8 fires that are burning. I just wanted to add that a lot of people don't understand that when we put a fire ban on for that reason, it's not because it's really dry here. It's because all our forest fire resources are moved elsewhere. So I really want everybody just to be cognizant of the fire bans, of the fire rating. One little fire that you're having in a backyard can very, very easily turn into a raging forest fire. And just keep in the back of your mind that if you're planning on having this fire and you're not listening to the fire bans that are in place, all the resources that are there to fight these fires are now on the other side of the province. So I can't encourage more for watch out. And this also do apply for charcoal barbecues. My previous life, I worked in provincial parks, and I seen a lot of people with charcoal barbecues that would just dump them in the woods when they were finished with them. So again, you want to really make sure that you're fire safe and you keep everything nice and cool and wet. Thank you.
I saw it on the news today. I think it was on CNN. There's a major forest fire down. I don't know the state offhand, but it's a huge fire, and it was started apparently by fireworks. Right? And I've had people ask me over the last couple of days, how come you didn't move on with the fireworks, given the fact that the day before the ban was lifted? And I explained to him that there's a process that has to be followed through our recreation director in dealing with the province to make application and have it approved. And when he made application, because the fire ban was on, and I want to bring this up because I think it's important, because several people have raised it. Why'd you cancel the fireworks? The ban was lifted. So when a recreation director made application during the ban, it was rejected. So even though the ban was lifted and being on a weekend, he couldn't turn around and just call the company and say, come on in now, the ban is lifted, we'll go with the fireworks. Because he has to go back and reapply and have it approved again, right? We're dealing with very, very dry conditions, right? So that's the explanation as to why, the ban was lifted one day and our fireworks were scheduled for the next, but we weren't able to put them off. So I thought I'd add that in. Okay, thank you very much, folks, for that great update from Public Safety. Now we'll move on to Corporate Service Administration, and Councillor Crowley, you got a lot of resolutions here. And
Yes, good
lots of money,
evening,
too.
everyone. Sorry, I must look like I'm blazing. I feel like I'm so warm. Oh, that's awesome. See, teamwork. We didn't meet formally, but we met. We chatted informally and talked over email. And there was a lot happening over the last little while. I just want to touch back on the communication liaison officer that we have hired, and just give a little bit of background because we've already done our internal communications, that's been mentioned multiple times, policy, and we're working on external communication policy. And part of that, we realized that it's really important to reach out to our residents and find out how residents wish to be communicated with. So there are many people that use social media, but not everyone, and some people want emails, and some people want flyers in the mail, and some people want phone calls, and some people want to be part of a app, and some people don't. So part of our structure for the external policy was to have a way to gather this information and enter it. So this is one of Miss Edison's job details, that she will be gathering how people wish to be communicated with, and we'll be collecting that into a database, all with the acknowledgement and assurance of our residents to know that they will be communicated with properly, and that it'll be safely held, their information. And then we also have that as part of our app that we're working on, our Buoyant app we're checking out and checking into. So even though there was no communication update here, it's ongoing. It's constant ongoing work. Cell phone coverage has not gone away, and don't worry, we're not forgetting about it. It's still there. We're still in the process. We're still working behind the scenes. Gears are moving. Things are in place. We're working as best as we can on updating our residents on cell phone coverage. So for corporate administration services, we had a lot going on. Squidfest, incoming and outgoing accounts, which will all be coming to a head very soon. And as Councillor Tilley mentioned, we'll be having a debrief, and that will also include funds for Squidfest as well. So I'm going to jump into our motions. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood accepts the revised Schedule A 2017 to 2020, identifying the reallocation of funds to the existing MYCW, that's the Multi-Year Capital Works allocation, which has been approved by the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure in the March 15, 2024 notification of approval letter. Schedule A identifies 6 approved projects through the multi-year program. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King.
Okay. So to give a little preamble, our CAO and Economic Development Director, she basically went back through all the different multi-year capital works projects that had money left over that we didn't use, and we mentioned this earlier in the year, so this is just kind of a refresher, and it was reported on that there was gaps and there was money left, so it was all gathered up and rescheduled into some other projects, and this is part and parcel of our community center that we're hoping to get in redesign and stuff like that, so some of that money is going towards that. That's what this motion is for, and we're just accepting that the Department of Infrastructure and Transportation accepted that. Okay. So if there's any other
Okay,
questions?
any questions or comments before we vote? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Okay, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests ministerial approval to borrow $217,517.30 from the Royal Bank for a term of 5 years, 10-year amortization at a rate of 5.1% with a payment of $2,318.08 per month. These monies will be to cover the remaining costs of the fire rescue vehicle, costing $317,517.30, with a $100,000 contribution received from the provincial government. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
And just say this was already allocated in the 2024 budget. It's just that we're moving forward on that now because the time has come that the rescue vehicle will soon be in hand, and of course we need to pay for it. So this is not new money coming into play. This has already been budgeted.
And furthermore, as Councillor King alluded to earlier with some of the statistics, you know, we are generating revenue by each year, like through our contract with Deer Park,
Absolutely.
with the LSD in Deer Park, as well as responding to the calls on the highway. So certainly justified, certainly needed, and it's affordable.
Yeah. And it will save money in the long run as well, so we don't have to send our pumper trucks out.
Absolutely. Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Hey, be it resolved, the town borough. That's the same one. Sorry? Town's custom, you're right, okay, sorry. Be it resolved, the town borough, $217,517.30 from the Rural Bank for a term of 5 years, 10-year amortization at a rate of 5.1% with a repayment of $2,318.08 to cover the town's cost of the new fire rescue vehicle. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Tilly. Further discussion?
Previously discussed. I think we're good.
Yeah. All those in favor? Those against, motion is carried.
And now to pay the general
Pay the
bills.
bills.
Yep. Be it resolved, the accounts tabled in the amount of $317,858.26. Check numbers 45982 to 46124 and D4081 to D4198 be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
It's a big month. But
Huh?
it was a big month. That's a very high number for this month. But with
Money going in,
recreation, money coming
out.
in, that's right.
Exactly.
We didn't list all the money coming in. This is literally just the money going out. So
Yeah.
that's what happens there.
Okay, all those in
Yeah.
favor? Councillor
Oh,
Munn,
sorry.
motion is carried.
And we have a bank book balance of a healthy $242,244.67. Thank you.
Great. Okay, now we'll go start new business, and I'll do the go-around starting with the Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to give a shout out to our recreation director and the committee and all staff for a fantastic Squid Fest this year. There was a lot of people there. I attended as many events as what I could. It was a great success. Yeah, there was some little things that we need to work on, but hey, I think that's learning, and we'll always find a way to do things bigger and better. But just to thank Kyle and Marjorie and all the team and for a great job.
Here, here. Councillor King.
I would also echo the Deputy Mayor's words with regards to Squid Fest and everything else. Everything, the weather cooperated, so it was perfect. I just got 2 points. The first one is something near and dear to my heart, which is garbage. Right? And I'm glad to see they finally came up with some dates. Right? I mean, this has been ongoing now, and I mean, nobody can deny the fact that this has been ongoing now since April. Right? I mean, I was expecting that, you know, garbage was going to be picked up by a big fat guy in a red suit with 8 reindeer, the way things were going. But anyway, hopefully the schedule will be maintained. But I think at the end of this, they should also put out a survey on how this went. And I think the town should put out a survey as well. Because, you know, this is not what you call complicated. Right? The only thing that we asked for was the date coming out of the snow and going into the spring. Everything else worked fine. I mean, I've been in Holyrood now since 2002, and you know, we put our garbage out by the side of the road. Yeah, it was out there for a day or so, or 2 days, or whatever, but it was picked up and it was taken away, and there was no issues. But there's not a soul around that I've seen or talked to that think this was a good idea the way it was done. But anyway, let's wait and see what the end result will be in September. Hopefully in September it will be actually picked up and not pushed down the calendar a little bit farther. So we'll see where it goes. The other one that the Deputy Mayor alluded to was with regards to Rhonda Rock. I did speak to Petty Officer Doucette there about 2 days ago, and he just wanted to pass on from the Commanding Officer of HMCS St. John's. They had a fantastic trip to the island. I mean, from one end of the island to the other, they really enjoyed our little meet and greet up at the IBEW building, and they also really thought it was pretty cool to have the fire department escort them through the Holyrood part of the run. Last year, they raised $132,000, which they were hoping to equate into 10 wishes. And anyway, the money is still coming in, but I think at last count, was just over 152,000,
Yep.
which would equate to 15 wishes. And one of the things that the CAO brought up when we had the little meet and greet up there that I never thought about, there was people here in Holyrood that also benefited from the funds that were raised through the crew from HMCS St. John's and the Make-A-Wish. So there's people that live in this actual community, several of them actually, that benefited from those funds. And that. So I just wanted to say, on behalf of them, a big thank you to everybody, and they really enjoyed their hospitality. HMCS St. John's is coming back in October, and not to spill any beans, but they're checking the depth of the water in Holyrood Harbour. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor King. Councillor Crawley.
Echo the sentiments for Squid Fest. Great job, Director Kyle Hocko. Fantastic. Talked about getting your feet wet, jumping in. Yeah. Public Works, who were working in and out every day, day and night. The extra staff even, we had our summer staff, the youth staff as well were there, in and out and up and down and curtain fencing and slugging boxes and the whole thing. So it was truly a concerted effort on everyone's part. Yeah, definitely a team effort besides everyone inside this building and out. So hats off, congratulations, great job, and I got in as much as I can. Thank you to our MHA, Helen Kamey-Ottenheimer. I kept seeing her every time I popped around the bend. We ran into each other as well, so she attended many events. And Ken McDonald, our MP, it was great to see him out. Our mayor, anyway, it was great. It was well attended by a lot of people, and we really appreciate everyone coming out. Yes, the HMCS, it was great, so we appreciate it, and thank you. Did I say it backwards? Oh.
You only say it backwards if you say it in French.
I'm going to squat you. All right, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Crawley. Councillor Tilley? I'm good, I think. You're good. Councillor King?
I'm just going to re-echo everybody's sentiments here this evening and congratulate everybody who was involved in the Squid Fest. And especially Kyle, it was his first time, and it was a big undertaking for him. But you know, the people we forgot to thank are the people who attended. Because without the people, there would be no Squid Fest. So thank you to everyone who came and made it a success.
We'll manage to get everybody in before we get around the table. Thanks, Sadie. Just thank you.
Okay, Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up. And I'll just put in my 2 cents worth. Everything has been covered, but it has been a fantastic festival. The weather has been great. Tremendous crowds, many events, sold out. The feedback I'm hearing from the public is that they really enjoyed it. Everything went well at the beach party. You know, and what can I say about our staff, our public works and inside staff and our recreation director. The volunteers that are there every single year, and they do this so you know, they don't want no credit for what they're doing. They just does their thing behind the scenes, and they've been with us for years, and they love what they do. And of course, our sponsors. We've had a tremendous number of sponsors this year, so Squid Fest just continues to grow and grow and grow every single year. But as Councillor Tilley alluded to, the Recreation Committee with Carl will do a little critique at you know, when the time is right, just to see, you know, go through the process event by event and little things that we can probably improve upon next year and whatnot to make it bigger and better again. So to one and all, a big thank you for Squid Fest, a tremendous successful Squid Fest this year. Okay, that is the agenda. And the date of the next meeting is August the 20th at 6 p.m. Can I have, my nose is warm and you're all anxious to get moving. See how many hands goes up. Can I have a motion for adjournment, please? Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Tilley. All those in favour?